Hi, this is Dave Austin, and you're listening to What the Speak.
What the Speak, episode 48. Hooah!
Do you kick ass when you speak, present, or pitch? If not, these expert discussions and insider tips can help you right now, today. Welcome to the What the Speak podcast. I'm your host, Brian Kelly.
In case you missed the free training on March 20th called Presentation Profit Formula, no worries. We're providing an encore presentation this week on March 27th at 8 p.m. Eastern. Go to whatthespeak.com/formula to sign up, and you'll learn about the 5 P's to a perfect presentation that converts your audience into sales, plus uncovering simple techniques to boost confidence and reduce filler words like and ah. And then lastly, we'll take a look at how to create a sexy presentation that builds instant credibility. If you'd like to sign up, go to whatthespeak.com/formula. Dave Austin, are you ready to answer the question, what the speak?
Well, how else can I say? But yes, when you bring it on so affirmative, like, yeah, go get it, buddy.
I make a compelling case, don't I?
You do.
So, Dave, you're a former world-ranked tennis player. You're a keynote speaker and someone who regularly works with NFL, Major League Baseball players, and Olympic athletes. But let's hear it directly from you. Can you briefly tell us about yourself, who you are, and what you do?
I'm still trying to figure it out. No, I feel blessed. From a very early age, my dad was a chaplain in the Navy, so we moved around a lot. It means that every 2 or 3 years you move around. So I had a lot of different coaches, and one coach would tell me I'm fast, the other coach would tell me I'm slow. And we go, gee, in California I'm fast, and in North Carolina I'm slow. I don't get it. So I was very interested in finding out what makes us tick. Why do we give so much power to our outside world? So I just started at a very early age digging into how we can, learn to believe in our own hearts, basically. And so then playing professional tennis, I got to go all over the world, and that's an experience in itself. Learned so much doing that, as I say, I just feel blessed that I've been able to not only have that life, but now get a chance to go speak it. What the speak.
What the speak, yes. Well, Dave, I know you've got a really diverse background. We've talked before. You've been involved in surfing. You've been involved in the music business. You've got just such a very interesting, varied background. And is there anything that you might want to share really quickly with us from all these experiences? What you've learned that fuels what you do today now with your clients?
Well, I think that it's a matter, so you've said I had a diverse background. I know we talked about the tennis, and I've coached, Olympic athletes, NFL players, and all that on the mindset. But I've also been very involved in the music world and the movie world. I was in some blockbuster movies.
Wow.
It's just, I do things with passion, and I do things with stepping out of your comfort zone to step into something fully. If you do anything fully, your mindset, once I started learning that it's all about your mind, then you can do anything. So I've been in movies with Jeff Bridges and Glenn Close and Gene Hackman, and these are blockbuster films. And then I did TV commercials when Diet Coke first came out. I was the first guy on camera. It was pretty funny, and did a number of commercials. And then I had a pick hit in Billboard. So how do you do that? It's just bring your passion, but I get really involved. How did I become a professional tennis player? Man, I hit a lot of tennis balls, and and I stumbled a lot. I didn't start off, a great tennis player. I had to go through all the bumps and bruises. Many people who are watching this and want to be a speaker. I'm not saying you have to go through that, but it's just a process. It's a process, and if you bring your passion and you bring your purpose to whatever it is, now. I think I mentioned to you, I was given the Presidential Merit Award from the Grammys. I mean, those are things that I honored. I know that's just stuff, but what I look back at it is because I brought my love to it.
Yeah.
I got that because if you do what you love, people will relate to it. And if you do it because, I got to be this or I got to be that, they're going to shut you right off. That's what I have found.
Well, that's good. I know that is such a great attitude to bring to the art and science of public speaking is really just having a big heart for what it is that you're sharing with your audience. And when you love what you're talking about, it's very easy to compel your audience to take action on whatever that message is you're sharing.
Yeah.
So, well, Dave, I know that you're doing a lot of speaking. You said you're speaking on average sometimes once a week. And I'm curious, what are some of the topics that you're usually talking about with audiences when you're out there speaking?
Well, generally what I do is whoever is booking me to speak, I really go and see what is it that they want from my life that's going to make an impact on their audience. It's really important to do that. If I go in there just going, well, this is what I'm going to do, I lose half the audience because it's not what they want to hear. And so I do a lot of prep with whoever's booking me to find out. Like I'm speaking Thursday night to a group of parents at here in Rancho Santa Fe or Solana Beach. Yeah. And it'll be a pretty big house of parents that want to relate to their kids better. So the subject of it is balance. It's not everything you think. And they're going to learn things that they don't even know. But then 2 weeks ago, I spoke at an event called The Legacy of Legends. It had, a lot of great speakers. They took people in their certain niches who they feel are the expert in their field. So I was very honored to do it. Yeah. But I really talked about leaving a legacy. So it depends on what the subject matter is. When I went and did the keynote at Wells Fargo, I spent a lot of time with the president, finding what is the message. And I'm, later on, you're going to ask me what are things you wish you would have learned. I'm going to show you one on that I did on that one that I wish I would have done a little differently. It was still a good talk, but most of the time, it's really understanding who you're speaking to, what's the message they want to hear, and then what part of my background am I going to tap in to that's going to bring that. And then I set an intention of what I want the takeaway to be. I usually set about 3 intentions. Anything more than that is a distraction. And I'm really focused on that. So now once I get to go speak, I'm free to kind of go anywhere I want to as long as I stay within those 3 intentions.
Yeah.
Does that help?
That's perfect. Great. Now let's talk a little bit about your particular origin story related to speaking. So as we've covered already, you've got a lot of different things that you've done. You've had some amazing successes, and it's quite a story. But where did it all begin for you with speaking? Was it something that early on you got involved with? Was it something that at a certain point in your career when you achieved a certain level or status, whatever it is? Can you share with us that story on how you became a speaker and how now this is something that you do as part of your profession?
Sure. Well, originally I mentioned to you that I did television. I was on some TV series, and I was on a lot of different talk shows. I remember the first talk show I went on, I was sitting there, and all I could tell is, what's my left hand doing right now? Oh my God, what's my right hand doing right now? Look at my feet. Is everybody noticing? You start noticing everything on you. It's really a funny experience. Yeah. So, you have to go through those kind of things to build on. So anyway, having a chance to do that made me become much more comfortable just being present. And that's the key, is being present. Yeah. And so then I wrote a book that came out in 2000 that became popular and started being asked to speak all across the country. So I just kind of had to dive in, and do that. And so I did that across the country for a couple of years because of the book. Yeah. And then what happened was, totally different thing is, I don't know if you know who Harv Eckert is, but they had probably one of the biggest speaking platforms out there. Okay. And he invited me to speak at what was called Wealth and Wisdom. And it had Wayne Dyer, it had Les Brown, it had Brian Tracy. I mean, you just who's who in speaking. I went, oh man, so I'm like, and it was going to be in front of about 1,500. I'm thinking, okay, how do I separate myself? Now, at that time, because I hadn't really spoken, let's say in that particular level, all those guys are like the best, right? So I thought, how do I separate myself? So I brought a Super Bowl winner with me, and I brought one of the top hitters in Major League Baseball, who I coach. I said, this is what I'm going to do. So I had 90 minutes. I got up and spoke for 45 minutes, and then I brought them on, not to show everybody that these guys are so cool because they're sitting up on a pedestal. It's like, I really want to show them they're just like you. They're no different. And we talked about how they had to go through struggles, how they had to go through things to accomplish, what they did. Well, it was kick-ass. It was amazing. It's the first time that I ever sold anything from the back room. I didn't even know what that was, because before that, I had come in and spoken on fees, right? And when the first time I found out, they go, oh, we don't pay you anything. how do you get all those guys if you don't pay anything? I'm like, oh my gosh. So they made me come up with products, which is the biggest blessing because I did it in a very inspired state. And I came up with workshops that to this day, I'm so proud of. And I came up with a CD series that I did. And so it was so funny. These guys that I had up on stage when they didn't know anything about the back room thing. And I didn't really know. And one thing that Harv said was, okay, now you only have the last 15 minutes you can sell, right? And so I'm up there, and I'm so passionate about what I'm doing. I look, and I only got like 3 minutes left, like 90 minutes. I'm like, oh, shoot, I'm supposed to sell something. Oh, my gosh. I just got into the whole thing. And so real quick, I told everything I had. Well, 1,500 people ran to the back of the room. Wow. It was the funniest thing. I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh. And one of the ball players says, they all have to go to the bathroom at the same time? And it was like, oh, that's why you come and sometimes you speak and sell the back room. You know, when they finally gave me the tally, I went, oh my goodness. In fact, they oversold one of my physical products. They sold twice as many as I made because they didn't close it down fast enough. And so we had to go back and make more. We had been making them the night before. You know, I mean, this is the backroom story of how it really gets started. And so then what happened was Harv started inviting me because, you know, it was successful. Started inviting me on a lot of their stages. And as I got more comfortable, I decided, okay, I didn't have to bring the star athletes with me. I could actually do it on my own. And then, but when I started getting, because I wrote a book also in the music industry called Songwriting for Dummies, which is a best-selling dummy series are big. So, but when I started getting asked to speak about that, I went back to my old habits. I went and got a platinum artist to come up, and we talked about how he creates the songs. I would do that again, though, because it's so cool for him to start writing a big hit that everybody knows. I start screaming when he's talking about in his private room, how he woke up in the middle of the night and how it came. That's just pure fun up on stage.
Sweet. Well, that's such a good story. Well, let's talk a little bit now about some of the struggles that you've had. It sounds like it's been definitely a learning experience from that first opportunity that you had. But what's one thing that you would say that either in those early days when you were getting started that you struggled with, or maybe it's something that's still today that you're working on improving, as always, being somebody who wants to always be learning, always be ratcheting up to the next level. Is there anything that you can share?
Oh, absolutely. As you might be able to tell, I get excited about doing what I do. So on stage, that comes easily. There's a lot of energy that I have. So I have to learn, just as I used to go out and play a professional tennis match, I have to learn to use my energy for me rather than against me. Because if it hits you once you get on a court or on stage, it's like, so I go through a process to get myself totally grounded. And I'll just be honest with you. I say a little prayer that nails it all. Lord, use me as an instrument today. I'm just an instrument. Just let me, bring a message that's going to change people's lives. And so I've already set up what I'm going to bring. But now that frees me to go. When I walk on stage now, I'm empowered because I know what I want to say, but the room's energy could shift the story I tell. If I see someone connect eye to eye with them, all of a sudden it goes to a whole new level. And so I'm really free because what I feel like a lot of speakers where they miss the beat, they're so programmed into what they're saying that they're not connecting at the soul level. Right. And I think for me, that's the most important thing I can do is that beyond my words, they feel what I'm saying. They feel someone within them. That creates them an action step within them to go, you know what? I'm doing this because they feel it rather than just hear it. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. But here's the thing I made a mistake at first is I try to give too much. I have 12 steps and I have this program called Be a Beast that I'm speaking a lot on now. It's how to tap into your animal instincts. And it's really cool because it's got the #1 retention program in the world. Roger Anthony developed it and he's my partner within Be a Beast. And it's just so cool. People will go home and rather than just hear a talk, that's why it's the #1 retention because they stays with them because we give these animal principles that you just can't forget. Yeah. It's really impactful. So what I used to do though is I want to give everybody everything and it's just too much. What I learned is the more I just centered, I could do one step and I could do a whole day on one step. So once I realized that, I just have to really hone in on what is the message I want to give, what is that takeaway that I want to give, and leave it there, and everything else will be just fine. I think beginning speakers, I've seen this happen. You just go, oh my gosh, just slow down. You're pushing. And I think I was guilty of that. I mean, I was lucky because I did the TV. I learned a lot about being on TV, and you start to relax a little bit more within that. Yeah. And then also I mentioned about playing professional tennis. I had to learn how to deal with nerves. So I'm able to relate all that. And I think nerves are great. I never want to go on a stage and I'm not nervous. When I come on, a lot of people don't think I'm nervous, and I'm really not, because I've done all the prep ahead of time. Yeah. I've taken on all the nerves, and if I don't have nerves, I bring on nerves so that it energizes me. So when I come on stage, I'm freaking ready to rock. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I know it's one of those big pitfalls that for a lot of people that are just getting started with learning how to give a presentation or learning how to speak in front of an audience. And especially when you're really passionate about something, that you just want to give it all away and you want to try and cram as much information into that allotted time that you've got. And it's a big mistake, because you really need to focus. You need to zero in on that key message, the one thing that you want the audience to walk away with and either take action on or be inspired by. And when you do that, it becomes something that it also alleviates the pressure on you, because you don't have to remember what are my 12 points. You're like, what's my main one singular point here? And then what are some of the supporting stories that I can tell, or the supporting facts that I can provide to let people know that this is something that I'm not just making up.
That's so important. That is so important. My talks became much more impactful when I kept to that. Keep it simple, but keep it very direct so they really have something to grab hold on. I learned that a lot I got asked to go speak and flown all the way to Uzbekistan, 15-minute talk. I got flown to India to speak at the Women's World Wellness Congress, half hour. I was freaking out because by this time I normally have 90 minutes. So I was first freaking out, 90 minutes? What can I talk about for 90 minutes? Once you start doing that, I'm like going, 9 minutes is too short. Yeah. But a half hour, and I'm flying all the way to India. So my wife and I, was really funny, but she's like, how are you going to do this? I'm going, I don't know, but I'm going to do it. And after I got done, she goes, that's the best talk you've ever given. So I don't know how to take that. My wife says less is more of me. But I mean, it just had to be honed in. Yeah. And this legacy thing I spoke at recently, they were like Les Brown, a lot of really good speakers. Everyone was only given 8 minutes. And you talk about, I've never seen more nervousness in the green room, because everybody is like, how are we going to do this? But I never knew how much 8 minutes was. Everyone really did a great job with it, and I was really happy with it. I nailed it in 7.5 minutes, and I never thought, when I was even trying to think about what I was going to do, it was already 10 minutes before I could even... Anyway, it's just, like you said, keep it simple. And don't try to give away too much, not because you don't want to serve, but you'll serve better.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Dave, let's talk a little bit about your unique perspective that you've gleaned over the years. There's a couple things I want to focus on. And the first is, I want to know, what's your secret to engaging the audience? Because when people listen to you speak, there's a whole lot of hooting and hollering. There's everybody sitting on the edge of their seat. How do you get such energy and excitement out of the audience when you're up there sharing your message?
I think I just have to say I'm blessed, because it's not fake. I love it. And I think people see that I love it. And it's so funny because I come up with stuff that ends up being really funny, and I don't even try. If I try to be funny, if I try something up ahead of time, I'll go up and it'll be just flat. But I get on stage, and luckily, because I've given this little prayer, I'm free to go with it. And I'll be laughing. I'm going, where'd that come from? But it's just connection with the audience is what it is. And I think if they see that I'm having fun, and even though I'm having fun, I have a particular message they're going to be able to write down and take away with. Yeah. So there's that combination. I've literally given talks where it was, I know this sounds kind of crazy, but where the whole place is laughing. And then a moment later, everyone, including me, were crying. Mm-hmm. It was like, and then, to me, that's like the greatest experience in the world, because you're going to, but I'm not trying to, it just took its course that way. Yep. And that was, anytime I've ever done that, and let's say I have a book signing afterwards or a product afterwards, literally, I've been there for 3 hours signing and meeting people. They want to be more engaged. So it's about really going back to what I said earlier. It's just having the opportunity to connect more than the intellect, but more at the heart level.
Yep.
I think, and when you said something earlier too about expanding and learning and growing, every single talk I give is brand new. I literally sometimes goes, wait a minute, I gave a really good talk. Can't even remember what it was, but I know this would be good here. Can't remember it all. Yeah. So I go, okay, it's brand new. So I have to create it all new again. So every time I go give a talk, and I told you, I'm talking once or twice a week now. Yeah. And it's the same kind of pressure each week. And I say pressure in a good way. I worked with Eric Gagne when he was for the Dodgers and had the longest streak in history of closes, and he'll be in the Hall of Fame because of it. But he says, pressure? I don't feel any pressure. I love to suffer. So it's just how you take it on, you know. And so I sometimes before talks, I guess I'm getting into some little suffering. But then when I come on, it's like, wow, I love to suffer. But I feel like I need to go through that because there was one time I felt so confident. I didn't work myself up or anything. I came on stage and I felt lost. I felt dry. Yeah. And now trying to manufacture it, it's manufactured. It's not real. So if I can just stay true to who I am and bring who I am with a message behind that, that's going to work.
Such a good message. Well, Dave, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back to finish up with our rapid-fire Q&A.
Sounds good.
Are you working out right now or listening to this episode while driving? If so, I know you're not able to leave a rating and review in iTunes at the moment. However, next time you're in front of your computer or smartphone, could you be sure to do so? Just go to whatthespeak.com/audio or whatthespeak.com/video. Thanks so much for your support. So Dave, we're going to do 6 questions really quick. The first thing that comes to your mind.
I love to suffer. Go ahead, Brent.
All right. we're going to make you sweat.
I feel the seat getting hotter.
So the first thing is, do you prefer slides or no slides when you're giving a presentation?
I prefer no slides. I can do slides, but very limited. One time I did one, had beautiful PowerPoint, and I found myself, I didn't bring what I bring. I got myself caught up. Some people do it brilliantly, but I think that what separates me is being in the moment. And a slide might not, I might go a different direction because of what's happening in the room. So, yeah. Does that answer the question?
You got it. Perfect.
Cool.
All right. So out of all the speakers that are out there, is there one person that inspires you the most? And why is that? Why do they inspire you?
Out of that, and I've been blessed to share stages with the best of the best. So I've seen them all backstage and on stage. And I always relate to people who are the same on stage as they are backstage. It doesn't always happen that way. Excuse me. So in that question, I have to say Mary Morrissey. She is awesome because she brings her heart and soul, and she's so good. She has so much knowledge. She cares so much. And off stage, I see the same person. Yeah. So that would be my number one. And Roger Anthony. I'm sorry, he's right in there too. He's from Australia. If you haven't heard of Roger Anthony, oh my, he is awesome. First time I heard him speak, he was thrown in between Les Brown, Bob Proctor, Jack Canfield, Harv Eckert. He stole the show. Wow. He is amazing.
That's quite a lineup there.
What's wrong with those guys? Yeah. They're all great. I know them all. So guys, if you're watching this, I love you. So when I say Roger steals the show no matter what, because he's unique and he's just has a heart of you feel him when he's speaking. You can there's a whole just greatness to that.
Very cool. Okay, so
I cheated.
What's that?
I said I cheated. I gave you 2. Mary Morris.
That's all right. That's all right. We'll let you slide on that one. So now, Dave, and I'm sure knowing your personality, there's got to be something good here. What's like the craziest, funniest, silliest, most bizarre thing that's ever happened to you while on stage or in front of an audience?
There's about 3, but one that I guess I wasn't even going to tell this one, but this one hit me right over the head. So I'm sitting in India, 3,000 people there, probably several hundred thousand watching it on the telecast. And I'm sitting in the front row, and I have a video that comes on to introduce me. And just before it goes on, I say to my wife, because remember, I do my little prayer, and it was so bizarre, but I just have to trust this thought that said, start in the back of the room. I went, start in the back of the room? That's crazy. But I've got to be committed, right? I tell my wife, I said, I'm going to go to the back room. She says, what do you mean you're going to go to the back room? I said, I don't know why, but I'm going to the back of the room. So I went back. I was already mic'd up and everything, and I found a little table in the back. And I stood on the table, had no clue why I'm back here, but I'm just like listening to this voice that I listen to. Now, I know this is kind of inside stuff that I've never told before, so you're getting it firsthand. And I see the video of me. There's 3 big screens, right? And everybody's watching it, and that. And then again, Dave Austin, there's nobody. I just start talking. And everybody's kind of looking at the stage, and I'm just going. And finally, it suddenly catches that I'm back behind them all. It all turns around, and the whole room kind of like, you could just feel the energy of the room go, whoo, and I was on fire. And Allison, I jumped off the table, and I started to walk. And in India, I don't know what it was, but everyone wanted to touch me. And so they're all coming up. I'm trying to get to the stage. I got all these people hanging on me, but I'm just going with it, and I'm loving every second, actually, but I don't miss a beat. And remember, this is when my wife said it was the best talk I ever gave. And so I finally get up on stage, and I'm on fire. And it was just such a brilliant thing. And I came down, and people that were there were saying, that's the most brilliant thing I've ever seen. I'm like, going, what? She says, well, you kind of really thought this through. Listen to this. This is what's funny about it. You figured out that, in India, there's classes. So what you did is you made everyone equal in the room, because I didn't even think of that it was kind of a class system, and all the people in the back were now in the front row.
Yeah.
All right. I was clueless on that, but I just looked and going, yeah, right. All I did was listen to that inner voice that speaks to me. When I turn it over, I have to go with it. And it's scary sometimes. I've done some pretty crazy things, but they've always turned out to be the best. So I just kind of go, oh, come on, you're kidding me. I'm going to do that. But that's when I give that kind of freedom, it's impactful.
Well, that is a crazy story and pretty funny, but also interesting as well.
Yeah.
All right, Dave. So rounding out our list here, what is the big impact that your ability to get up in front of an audience had on your career and your business?
Very significant. My eyes were open. That first time I told you about Wealth and Wisdom with Harv Eckert, oh my gosh. I mean, it started all my seminars. It started a whole new world for me. Back then, I was just coaching, clients, mainly athletes. And I love it when I say just. I love, being on the field before a game of a baseball game, or down on the field for a football game, or, at the World Cup for the Olympics. I mean, come on, that is exciting. But I had never stepped out there to where I utilize what I do to bring it to an audience and then have products. And so that changed my whole course of my life. So, yeah, I mean, I literally, though, a few years ago came off the circuit of speaking so that I could develop an online training center. I really want. It's now Extreme Focus, and I'm very proud of it. But because it's Extreme Focus, I found out that as I kept going out and speaking, it was a distraction for me and developing what I really wanted to develop. So now it is developed. We have it. So I just recently, within the last several months, said I'm going out speaking again. And I've been blessed because how do you get speaking gigs? I mean, I speak someplace and I get booked for 2 more, and then that's all it is. And I keep saying, well, wait a minute, I should probably get one of these, the speaker bureaus or something. Never had one. Every booking that I've had has just come from someone seeing me on stage.
Nice. Great. Well, here we are. Last question. For those who are in the audience that are just getting started with developing their skills as a speaker, what's one piece of advice that you'd give them, knowing what you know now?
Well, we already covered it. Hone in on one of the things. Hone in on, and don't try to give 10 things. Be really good at one thing, and then also don't try to be like anybody else. When I first went and spoke, and I mentioned all those big names that were there, I couldn't be any of them, but none of them could be me. And even if my story is unique, your story is unique. Doesn't matter. You don't have to be in movies. Maybe I have some pretty crazy things that I've been involved in, but you know what? As long as you bring and you value what you've done in life and understand how that can impact others because of a message you have to give, then you're as good as I am.
Yep.
Or you're as good as these other people that are getting high fees. I think that's the key, is don't go up there trying to be something that you're not. Come and be who you are, because no one can be you.
Brilliant advice and a great note to end on. Well, Dave, we're going to have links over in the show notes at whattospeak.com for your website, your social media accounts, any other resources that you mentioned. And for those of you interested in songwriting, check out Songwriting for Dummies. But Dave, I really want to thank you so much for your time. It's been awesome talking with you and hearing a little bit about the extraordinary experiences that you've participated in and how that's fueled your growth as a speaker. You truly are somebody who kicks ass when they speak, present, or pitch.
Well, thanks. One last thing, if it's all right.
Sure.
Our Be a Beast program, the videos, if you truly are sincere about stepping on stage, it's not necessarily, it's for life in general, but you want to tap into things I just talked about, Be a Beast. Going through that process in those videos, will empower you. And one of the things that I said, know who you are, learn who you are, that's what that whole program's all about. You will bring yourself bigger and stronger. You will roar. The last animal's a lion, and it's called core, which is courage. So anyway, I had to throw that in there because it just dawned on me. Part of the reason I created those videos is so those that want to be more in life, it's already within you. You just need to unleash it. And this is a method that I have found will help you unleash it.
Sweet. Well, we'll be sure to have that in the links too in the show notes. So, Dave, thanks again, and it was great having you here.
Well, thank you for inviting me, and good stuff. One of the things that in listening, just in this dialogue, I know you get a lot of great speakers on. What a great opportunity for someone who wants to speak, to get you're taking them behind the scenes.
Yep.
Nice.
Great. Well, thanks again.
All right.
I want to thank you so much for either listening to or watching today's episode. If you love What to Speak, please do me a big favor and help spread the word. Go to whattospeak.com/love. Again, it means the world to have your support and your enthusiasm, so thank you.
All right, here we go with the outro.
Thanks so much for joining us today on What to Speak. Be sure to visit whattospeak.com for show notes on every episode and to sign up for our email list to stay updated on resources that'll help you kick ass when you speak, present, or pitch.